Welcome to another episode of the Kickstart My Franchise podcast. I'm your host, Tim Michaels. Today, I'm joined by Michele Henry, who is the founder and CEO of a fast-growing facial bar concept called FACE FOUNDRIE. Welcome, Michele.
Thank you for having me, Tim.
Glad to have you on. So, first thing I'd love to hear is how did you come up with this idea? Like, what is your backstory?
Yeah. All right. Well, I have always been an entrepreneur. And so, backstory is I actually grew up in a family business. And so I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Came from women's soft goods. I had a clothing company. We did about 25 million in sales. We grew it debt free prior
Wow.
to starting FACE Foundry. And I knew with that business, I knew, okay, the next business I do, I really want to be a franchise system. I love the idea of inspiring entrepreneurs, getting them excited and providing that roadmap. So I knew whatever I was doing next, it had to be a franchise concept. Well, as I was thinking about a different concept, what I kept coming back to was my own struggles with my skin. And personally, I just could not find this efficient and effective and most important, approachable in price, facial bar. That the concept did not exist. And we actually ended up coining the term facial bar and started FACE Foundry in the Galleria in Edina, March 1st, 2019. So we're celebrating our 6th birthday soon.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you.
So what exactly is a facial bar? As a guy, I don't know a whole lot about the facial category, and I'm sure many of our listeners don't either. So would love to just hear what is a facial bar? When would you use it?
Yeah. So we have membership. So I'll start with your last question first. When do you use it? We often see people in once a month. We are a focused facial bar. So that means we're an open air concept where we solely focus on 40-minute focused facials for our clients. So you think of maybe a spa or med spa, you're going behind closed doors, you're getting undressed, you're getting kind of the full treatment. We really tried to kind of scrape that and start with just the face and then only the face. So that's something that's important to call out. It is open air. I know you're down in Chicago. We have 6 locations down there. So I would love to get you in because I think you would actually really love it.
I would love it. I would probably have to take my wife or she'd get angry, but
She should
definitely
come.
need to check it out.
And we host couples all the time. Actually, one of the great benefits, we host face parties. So we see a lot of people coming in wanting to host bachelorette parties or birthday parties. And because we're an open air concept and you're not behind closed doors, we can pull back the curtains and actually host larger groups. So bring your wife. Absolutely.
And when you say open air, how many different people or customers can you typically fit into one of your locations?
Yeah, the sweet spot is typically 8 beds. We certainly have locations and facial bars that are larger, and we have some that are smaller, but that sweet spot is 8 beds and typically around that 1,500 square foot mark.
Mm-hmm. And I was looking around your website. It looks like you have a few, distinct services. I think they're probably all mainly around the face, but could you go over what are some of those services and add-ons that customers might purchase?
For sure. So we have our focused facials, which are those 40-minute kind of core facials that we offer. And they are going to be consistent from every single location that you visit across our 57 locations in the US. What's great though is we have an enhancement menu, and that's really where it allows you to customize your facial. So let's say, Tim, you brought your wife in and she really wanted a Hungarian massage or a scalp massage. Whereas maybe you are looking for something more aggressive like a chemical peel or dermaplaning. And that's a great way to continue to encourage our members to try new things each month with those enhancements. We also have more elevated facials, and that includes our H2 Glow and our Royal Treatment. And we just introduced micro channeling by ProCell. So a little bit more advanced, more Medi Spa treatments that we've put on the menu that have been really well received.
Fantastic. And if I'm a member, is there just like one size fits all? Are there multiple different categories where if I go up, to a more elite membership, I get some more of those services on a monthly basis?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So, our Facial Maven membership is by far our most popular, and that encompasses our 40-minute focus facials that I touched on and one complimentary enhancement. We do have a more elevated membership, which is that step up, and it's the H2 Glow, oftentimes powered by Hydrofacial, and it is a monthly discount that you can get every 4 weeks.
Mm. And I'm assuming that pricing, sort of varies based on the market. I'm assuming, San Francisco costs more than Iowa, but is there like a rough, range at how much these are priced at?
Yeah, great question. Anywhere between $70 to upwards of 89. You definitely hit the nail on the head. It's market specific. So what I love is that we work with our franchisees in each market to determine what the demographics and what the client is telling us and what they should be priced at, in that pricing tier.
Makes a lot of sense. How many employees, do you need to run one of these things?
Again, depends on the market, anywhere between, call it 12 to, I believe our largest store in the chain has 26.
Oh, wow. And
So
are
it
these
definitely depends.
estheticians or what is the makeup of that,
Yes.
workforce?
Another great question. So we do have front bar staff, and we also then have anyone performing services are trained estheticians, and they are trained by that state board. So they are certified through whatever state they're working in. And yeah, we love our estheticians.
One question that I always get from people is like, how hard is it to find this particular person? So can you talk about just estheticians in general? Like, are there a lot of them out there? Is it something that, is difficult or easy?
Yeah. So I would say what's interesting and unique about our concept is that because we're only focusing on the face, it gets estheticians really excited. Straight out of school, oftentimes they fall into maybe body waxing or a traditional med spa space. And they love the focused facial component where they can
Mhm.
do facials. That's what they want. They're driving results. And so we've been able to attract a lot of very skilled estheticians because of the uniqueness of our concept.
Awesome. So let's say, you convince me this is a great opportunity, would love to become an owner. What are my options? Is it owner operator, semi absentee? Like, how do you think about ownership?
Owner operator is who we have seen be the most successful within our system. Um, Pillars in their community, close to the location that they're opening within that hour radius, drive time, I should say, and really someone that is passionate about helping people, leading a team, and loves skincare.
Awesome. And in terms of the demographics of the people who are actually becoming franchise owners, when I speak to a lot of candidates, oftentimes the males tend to want to stay away from more like beauty slash health and wellness categories. If I were to generalize, is that what you see as well, or what trends are you noticing there?
We're actually seeing a lot of men step into our system. Most recently, we had former Wall Street and former private equity partner step in. So I think they're realizing more and more that there's opportunity in the beauty space and it's not just for women. So I highly encourage the men that you're speaking to be open minded to trying something new because I think there's a lot of upside to it.
And so let's say I'm an owner, I am obviously a man. So like what would I be doing on a day-to-day basis? Let's say I'm not owning it with my wife. I'm just the sole owner. Like what would I do?
Definitely. I mean, Tim, you're probably not taking services unless you are a trained esthetician, but you are really leading the team and you're helping with admin, you're helping with outreach in your community to do marketing tactics, you're working with our team closely to work through any sort of ongoing trainings, how you can get certain numbers up. We really do cater to what your skill set is. So if you're coming with a really strong finance background, that's great. We're going to partner you up with our CFO and make sure you guys are lockstep. If you're coming with a really strong marketing background and you maybe need more help with the operations, we're going to link you up with the right team members to help fill some of the white space within your skill set.
In terms of customer acquisition, is this driven by Google ads, Facebook ads? How are you driving traffic?
We take a multi-pronged approach. So absolutely, you're always going to have digital, right? It needs to be a pillar in our marketing tactics, but it can't be the only thing we lean on. We have a lot of community engagement through pop-ups. We do a lot of influencer events. We do a lot of different marketing tactics. So our grand opening package really does look different market to market, but I can promise you one thing, it won't just be one single tactic.
And what is the size of a territory? Is it based on population? Is there a certain radius that I get that's protected?
Absolutely. Yep. We look at the demographics. We make sure that there's a certain amount of people within that radius. And typically, it does not shrink down to less than a mile unless you are in a highly dense location. We try to make sure our franchisees are protected because the last thing we want is cannibalization.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the horror story of some franchise brands for sure. So glad to hear you have that in mind. As far as the total investment, what are you looking for as far as like liquidity and net worth requirements, and how much would I actually have to, fork over if I'm doing like an SBA loan, for instance?
Yeah, we ask that your minimum net worth is 500,000, which is we feel a fairly good number. Our initial investment, though, is a range of anywhere between 334,000 to 670,000.
Got it. And I assume that just varies by, again, the market.
Market, there are some locations that you get to walk into, and it's pretty close to turnkey or white box. Others need a little bit more love. But that initial investment does include our initial fee. So keeping that in mind, initial fee, 3 months of operating expenses, we really want to make sure that it encompasses everything to get your doors open.
Hmm. You had mentioned earlier the term approachable. I'm curious, when we think about the competitive landscape, where does approachable fit in there? What does the rest of the competition really look like?
It's interesting. I think our largest competitor, we are about half the price from an initial investment standpoint, but we're probably 30 to 40% less on the client facing facial price. So to me, that's very approachable. We want to make sure that facials aren't just something that you think of on that special occasion. Truly, they are a membership based approach where you can have that luxury and it's not a huge hindrance to your bank account.
Mm, fantastic. In terms of the numbers, yeah, I heard how much it costs. How much could I potentially earn? What's in your item 19 if you're
Yep,
willing to share anything on that?
absolutely. So keeping in mind the initial fee is 45,000. The multi-unit developers, they are at 36,000 per unit. So a nice discount there, but our average unit volume is $852,000.
It's fantastic. And I think they're pretty good margins too, from what I from what I remember reading. So I'll let people take a look on their own. But any other tidbits that are important for people who are considering the your business to really know about?
Yeah, I would say one thing that we really pride ourselves on is bringing in fantastic franchisees. They all have a unique skill set, and I love this brand because we've been able to take those skill sets and combine knowledge and make the brand better. So that high tide that rises all ships, we take that mentality on. We also have representation through our franchise advisory council. So keeping in mind that franchisees have a very strong voice within our system, and it's a big benefit for our franchise partners.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming on here. It was super insightful. Feel like I learned a lot just about facials in general. So really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, Tim.